Hello, my name is Megan Duchesneau. I am a transnational geography major and a geology minor, and my research paper is on the impacts of climate change on indigenous communities in the Arctic. The methods that I used, so I primarily used existing sources on the subject and compiled the information together into my paper, and then I also used climatological data from NOAA. That's also what was used on the map on the screen as well. And then I also used data from the ITK, which is an indigenous government group in Nunavut. And then I also mapped out the sea ice extent to get a better idea of what exactly is going on. So one of the major issues faced in the Arctic is food sovereignty. So traditional hunting methods are no longer applicable up there, as the ice that they have used for hundreds of years is thinning and unsafe, making the traditional methods unusable. Migratory animals are also very unpredictable. The caribou's mating patterns are offset, and there's also a decreasing population of animals due to the loss of their environment, and they're no longer seeing species that use the ice for cover, like seals, as far south. They're migrating farther north to find that coverage on ice, and indigenous people rely on them. There's more of a reliance on store-bought food, as traditional hunting cannot be used, and the food is often unhealthy, it's not fresh, and it leads to many health issues. And they're no longer able to use underground freezers, which were traditionally methods to keep food safe and frozen for use later. Health issues is another major issue. So there is the increased heart disease and type 2 diabetes from the store-bought food that people are having to rely on. There is bacterial infections and viruses that are becoming more prevalent, as the meats that were kept in the underground cellars are now unthawing and growing bacteria and mold. And there's also rodent species that are able to travel farther north due to the increased temperatures, that they carry diseases with them and they transfer it to the animals, and then that transfers to people who eat them. There's limited access to healthcare in the Arctic, especially due to the bad infrastructure up there, and with melting permafrost destroying the infrastructure that is there. Exposure to harmful sun rays is also leading to cases of skin cancer, and then depression and ecological grief are also issues that are faced in the Arctic, as traditional culture are lost. Loss of tradition is another issue. So, as I mentioned before, traditional hunting methods are no longer usable. There's a loss of language, as there are many words in the native communities in the Arctic that are specific to the Arctic and the different ice formations and monuments that are there that are being destroyed by permafrost land melt alteration, and then the loss of ice and animals that have previously been there. Cultural practices are also declining, and the traditional methods of weather forecasting are no longer usable, as the weather is very unpredictable now and cannot be safely predicted. So what are communities doing to move forward? So the ITK has started a project called the National Inuit Climate Change Strategy, where they aim to improve food sovereignty, cultural preservation. They want to improve infrastructure, the health of the people living in the Arctic. They want to improve energy to make it less relied on the burning of fossil fuels and gas, and they also promote environmental justice there. And then these are the sources that I used for my paper.